In today's video, join us on a captivating journey behind the scenes of the movie Mean Girls, where the creative process comes to life. Discover the secrets, challenges, and extraordinary moments that make this film an unforgettable cinematic experience. Catch some exclusive set interviews with the brilliant minds shaping every frame in the making of Mean Girls.
Oh, hell no! Not in the graduate school for this. All junior girls report to the gymnasium immediately! Immediately!
And raise your hand if you've ever had a girl say something bad about you behind your back.
Maintenant, nous choisissons nos noms français. Cady, comment tu t'appelles?
Action.
And I never told anyone because I am such a good friend!
And not just you, like any of us. Like if I wore sweatpants today, I'd go sit over there.
I'm sorry, Regina. You can't sit with us.
Thank you so much.
Try and see if it works, and then if it...
Set. And background. And action.
So it's like that. Okay. Challenging set.
Right. So, we never really do this, but...
You're invited to eat lunch with us for the rest of the week.
Oh.
Cut.
We need to get the people to move.
Cady, in order for this to work, you need to be a huge...
My name is Angourie Rice and I play Cady Heron in Mean Girls. I'm a huge fan of the original Mean Girls movie. I actually had it on DVD growing up and it was one of the only, like we had maybe 3 or 4 DVDs and that was one of them. And my sister and I, we had this little portable DVD player, so when our parents would, you know, go to work, we'd sit in the corner and watch Mean Girls on this DVD player. So some of my earliest memories are of watching Mean Girls just over and over and over again. And when you watch something that many times when you're that age, it just gets stuck. I think the key thing that has made Mean Girls so iconic and so timeless is Tina Fey's writing. She consciously made an effort to make up slang in the movie so it doesn't feel dated. That's what fetch is. It belongs in its own world. So each time you watch the movie, it's not going to feel dated because fetch is just part of Mean Girls and we all understand that. I loved working with Tina. She's incredible. She is so witty and so clever, and one of my favorite parts about working with her is that she was on set and she would give us alt lines to say just before just before we went for a take, which was so fun because to sort of have that spontaneity of a new joke that you would just say and sort of see how people react. So I loved that freedom in comedy that she had, and she was always thinking of new jokes, new ways to make the scene funnier or more interesting or different. So I love that creative passion and energy that she has. Yeah, one of the biggest changes from the 2004 film is that now in 2024 we have social media, and that is one of the biggest differences between these two, the two ways in which we tell this story. Social media has a huge influence on the politics of high school and how the popular girls operate, how the bullies operate. It's so new. So that is an element that has been worked into our movie in a really interesting and fun way, I think. My involvement with Mean Girls began with an email from Tina Fey, which was the most exciting thing to receive. I could not believe it. I couldn't believe that it showed up in my inbox. And it was her talking about the movie and saying she thought I would be a good fit for Cady Heron. And I was so flattered and so excited by that. And so that's where it began. I love working with Reneé. She plays Regina. Cady and Regina have so many great scenes together. So I had a lot of opportunity to really get to know Reneé and get to know her as a person, but also as a creative, as an actor, as a musician. So it was so fun working with her. She brings a lot of laughter to set, that's for sure. I think the plastics are so interesting because in the film, in the 2004 film, and in the story of Mean Girls, they are sort of the villains. That's who they're set up to be. And then in pop culture, they become these incredible icons, and people are dressing up like them for Halloween, and, you know, they're the ones that you look to for fashion inspiration. So I think it's really interesting that we've remembered them in this way, and that, you know, they are the mean girls of Mean Girls, but each of the characters also has an arc. The plastics all change by the end of the film, alongside Cady. I loved working with Jenna Fischer. She plays my mom, Mrs. Heron, and it was such a dream come true to work with her. She is so kind and wonderful. I've been a fan of hers for a long time, and meeting her in person, she's just got this warm, loving energy that extends to everyone in her vicinity. So I really felt like she was another mother on set. Kyle is our choreographer. He is so incredible. When I first met him, I was really nervous because I didn't know what sort of dancing would be required of us. But he was really patient with teaching me all the dances. And something that I love about Kyle's choreography is that you can watch his choreography with no music and understand the story and understand what is going on. And I think that is the mark of a great choreographer and a great storyteller. I hope audiences enjoy the spectacle that this movie is. Art and Sam was so good about making it really visually interesting for the audience. And that's why I'm so excited that it's going to be playing in cinemas, because you're going to see all the dancers' hard work. You're going to see all the costumers' hard work. You're going to see all the set decks' hard work. It's just going to be a treat for the eyes, I think.
My name is Reneé Rapp, and I play Regina George. I think it's like the perfect time for a movie like this to come back in a new way, with like a new life. But yeah, it was such a big deal, and it remains such a big deal, which I think is like a huge testament to like how well done the film was. That like 20 years later, it's just as poppin' as it was when it came out when I was a kid. I was so excited. And I felt like excited to be able to like do that role again, because I think it's seldom do you get to like revisit things, and I also get to revisit it in a different medium, right? Like I think doing it on stage is its own beast, but like I really love acting on camera now, and that was something I hadn't done ever before when I was doing it on Broadway. So it was exciting to feel like I could do that. You don't like say like Mean Girls and like no one knows what you're talking about. Do you know what I mean? So I think like there's an incredibly high standard already on the project based on how massive it was and also like the level of work and talent and like skill that went into making something like that, and having it, you know, have the longevity that it does. Regina is like the HBIC, which is head bitch in charge. She's like really sexy and like bitchy and like has a bite, but is also really endearing, and like you're kind of obsessed with her, but you're like, this woman is like so mean. The best thing about her is that like this is a villain who you're forced to like. And I think like as an actor, that's a really difficult kind of, you know, thing to balance, because obviously like, you know, calling someone a bitch in an endearing way takes a little bit of skill and finesse. I, however, have quite a bit of practice with that, so love playing her, love doing her, love being her. Imagine if you just took like 50 people who are like all very theatrical and artistic in very different ways, but also incredibly similar, and put them in a school in the middle of New Jersey with really low ceilings just to flag. And we're like, go girls. That's a wild environment. And so we all became so close in like such a witty way of like, I'm not sure that we really bonded over anything that had anything to do with our lives. I think we're all just like, we're in New Jersey. So we all had a lot of fun, and they were really, really fun to work with. Angourie is like a tiny little cute little grandma. Like she knits and like reads books. She's just the cutest and is one of the nicest people I've ever met in my life. And I can always tell that I really love someone if I like meet them and I'm immediately like, my friends would like you. Because I have very judgmental friends, are all theater kids, and I immediately was like, everyone's gonna love Angourie. Regina sees Cady as like a threat and also sees her as like not a threat. And I think feeling those ways at the exact same time is very confusing, and like there's a lot going on. So it's like a battle of like ego and insecurity like going crazy, which become the same thing, kind of inherently are the same thing. Auli'i is so cool. I mean, she's the coolest. She's also, I think like something one of her most admirable qualities to me as a human being is like, she is really herself. And like, I mean that in a very complimentary way. She knows who she is, she knows what she wants, and she knows that she's there to do her job, and also like, she is resilient as hell. Jaquel is one of the most talented people on the face of the earth. He is so funny, it's like not even, like you can't be like taught to be that funny, like that's actually just something you're born with. He's the sweetest thing ever, is like, just like a little flower, like is perfect, and also is hilarious and is one of the best singers ever. I love Tina. She is so brilliant in an almost unassuming way, in a way that like, I remember like meeting her for the first time, and like you know, obviously like see how hilarious someone is, and then you like listen to them talk, and they're like this like intellectual, like really like introspective, like I don't know, like reflective person, and you're like, oh wow. And I was like, oh, you're really smart. And she has taught me that like comedians are some of the most brilliant people in the world, second to theater kids, but she is awesome. Working together on the film was a much more in-depth kind of nature, but I've always felt very looked after by her, and she's always made that really apparent, like me and even like my parents. Like she takes care of me, and she has since I was a teenager, and has always been like a champion of mine. Therefore, like I'm always going to be a champion of hers. It's Mean Girls. It's hot. It's sexy. We care so much, and we care about what we do. And so we put our best foot forward, just as Tina and Jeff and Eric and Micah and every single person did who worked on the project, to make it the best version of what it could be. So it's a must-see because we're all very hot and we're all very enticing, and the movie is good.
I remember walking around being like, my name is Regina George. You know, like there's a posture, there's a stance, and everyone knows
the trio in pink. And so that's immediately what came to mind. And it's so fun having this adaptation, one, for a newer audience. If it came out in 2004, like, it's truly another generation that gets to watch this film. I played Janis, and what initially drew me to her was because she was so very different from any character I'd played before. That's always what I'm looking for. And I liked that although she's a side character, she has her own arc. So I'm excited for people to see it, and I hope people like also my take on Janis, because she's been done so beautifully before, like adding my own spin on her and adding the camp and the queerness that Sam and Art also fostered and encouraged through filming. Janis's partner in crime is Damian, who's played by Jaquel Spivey. He is fantastic. He is so funny. He has a real knack for physical comedy, and he has such control over his voice, so he's like a beautiful soul to work with, and he's also really fun to watch. Reneé Rapp plays Regina George, and I think that she's absolutely amazing. Reneé has such a powerful energy on set. Like, she really is Queen Bee, but luckily we're on the same team and we're on the same side, so we're joking and stuff like that. But as soon as she puts on the Regina, I'm terrified. I'm scared. You know what I mean? Like, let me get out of your way. So she's just fantastic. Tina Fey is actually so down to earth and really chill. Like, she'll just walk down the hallway and she'll be like, "Hi, good morning." And I'm like, "Good morning, Tina Fey." Like, fantastic. "Hi, how are you today?" Yeah, it's been a joy to have her on set and to get her feedback of what she thinks when she writes these scenes. Also some like behind the scenes of the first film, of why certain lines got in there. Yeah, it's been really fun to pick her brain of different characters and things like that. She's been a great resource. My character, Janis, I love how we've taken kind of a previous iteration where she was goth and had like darker makeup, and now she's fully like an art freak. She doesn't care about conforming to rules or conforming to any of the hierarchies or groups in high school. And one of the most fun aspects of her look, I think, is her makeup. And I've been working with George, who's been just so much fun, and it's a collaborative process every day of, well, what are you wearing? Well, what do you want to do? Should we add some sparkles? You know, and I've really enjoyed just sticking rhinestones all over my face. There are strong female leads, there are people of color. Tina and I also had a conversation. She was like, "Hey, why don't we change Janis's last name to reflect more of like your Hawaiian background?" And I was like, "Great." And so we added that into the film, and it's these small but sure steps, I think, that make actors feel more connected to their character, and also hopefully lends then to a more authentic performance that viewers will catch on to.
I am Chris Briney. I play Aaron Samuels in the movie. I've obviously seen the movie. I've seen it a bunch of times. It was a big part of my childhood, as I think it was everybody's. But I remember a lot of it. I purposefully did not rewatch it after I got cast because I didn't want to revisit or, emulate. Well, it's cool to see it in a different, like, world, because in the early 2000s, like, technology was at a very different point. And now it's become like such a part of all of our lives, like in those 20 years. And so like the use of like social media and stuff in this movie and in telling the story and in like the spread of information and gossip is really cool, because it's not all just word of mouth anymore, not all just like phone calls, and it's FaceTimes and TikTok and stuff like that. I think for me at least, I was like, oh, that's a really interesting way of incorporating like technology in the modern age into a story that already exists. I think Aaron is like the dudiest dude of all time, and I think that's why I like playing him so much. Like, he is just such like a prop for the story, like he's there to be like sort of what the drama is like around, but he himself isn't really like doing anything, and I enjoy that about it. I enjoy he sort of gets to sit back and watch and be a part of all the mess, but he's not really like, he's just a good kid. Art and Sam are so good. They have so much energy all the time. And I know like making a movie is a really stressful thing, especially when you are directing it. But they come in with so much energy every morning, and every like note and every take and every scene, they're always like at a 100, which is really hard. Tina's fantastic. I mean, I grew up, like, whether I knew it or not, like consuming like so much of her like material, you know, SNL and Mean Girls, and it's wonderful to have her like come in and give a note. Like that's a really exciting sort of feeling, or it has been, because I'm like, oh yeah, like I get it. I get what you're trying to say to me. You know, if she has a note about what's funny, I'll be like, oh yeah, that is funny. Like that's a great approach to it. She's just so smart about comedy and about approaching this material. It's really fun to work with. I think I made her chuckle one time, and that's what's the highlight of this thing so far for me. So I hope people appreciate it for the same reason that they have appreciated Mean Girls in general for this long, the movie or the musical or whatever you have enjoyed, because it's, you know, it's really funny, and it's relatable to, I think, everybody's life in one way or another. It's absurd. It's Tina Fey. It's, you know, there's a lot of good things, and there's like so many really cool, really talented young people, which is exciting to be around, you know, because I just see like them work, and I'm like, oh, you're gonna do like such big things. You're gonna do such big things. Like, this is cool to be a part of. It's really cool.
My name is Avantika, and I play Karen Shetty in Mean Girls. I was a huge fan of Mean Girls. It was just such a massive movie for us, and fashion-wise, all the actresses went on to do such amazing things. There's a character in Mean Girls for everyone, and I think it speaks to the good in everyone and a little bit of the bad, the mean that's in everybody, and I think it embodies like the hopes and dreams of all high school girls to become this like beautiful, popular girl in school, and it was just great to see it on screen. And it's pink, and who doesn't love pink? Everything about it was so perfect and timeless, and it resonated with so many generations, and I think even to this day it's still just as relevant as it was. We've updated the fashion, and we've updated, you know, the people who are in it as well. I think the cast and the whole environment feels a lot more inclusive. TikTok is so relevant today, and such a massive thing, and so I think incorporating that into how people are bullied and how people are coming out of bullying and using the platform to kind of reclaim the narrative is also very relevant in this film. Karen has always been my favorite character, just because I think she's, you know, undeniably the nicest of the Mean Girls, and she's sweet and charismatic and kind, and I've loved her always, and so to be able to take on, I guess your favorite part from the movie is nothing short of a dream come true. I think, especially being South Asian, I think it's also really quite amazing to be able to play a character who's a little bit against the grain and a little bit against the stereotype that Indians or South Asians typically tend to play. And so I'm very excited to also be kind of perceived, I guess, in a new, more updated way, and to kind of break barriers in that sense. I'm also excited to kind of bring something new to the character, and hopefully people can kind of look at it as a new spin on Karen. Karen, to me, is like a bundle of joy, a bundle of oblivious joy, and I think she has kind of gotten roped into the plastics because she's beautiful, and because she, I guess, struggles to maintain a sense of individuality. And I think throughout this movie we see her kind of perceive everything that's happening around her, and perceive the bullying in a sense of being like, oh, what is going on? And I think it's really interesting to see how someone who may typically be seen as like a pushover kind of grow a sense of understanding of the world around them. Most of the time when we see popular girl, like the popular girl in media, it feels very one-dimensional, and like there's no nuance and no subtlety to the character itself, which is just simply not true. And any girl who's, you know, gone to high school and encountered a popular girl for themselves will tell you that it's hard to fully hate them. You love them a little bit, and you do hate them. These girls have insecurities too, and they have problems too, and oftentimes those aren't represented in media. So it's nice to see villains be humanized a little. With the advent of social media, a lot has changed, and so I think it'll be fun for audiences, at least this generation, to see themselves a little bit more clearly in this film than the original. I think they'll like the music. I think the music brings a lot to the film, and I think it's what really makes this version shine. And I think it's easy to get caught up in the fact that this is not the original and that this is a new take on the characters, but I think the songs and seeing how these characters have evolved to be slightly different, I think will really make audiences quite happy. There's so much color, there's these wonderful songs, there's these massive sets, and you know, Reneé Rapp is in it, Auli'i Cravalho is in it, Bebe Wood is in it, Tina Fey is in it, so many people, Ashley Park. I mean, why would you not want to see all of them in theaters? I'd go and see this movie with my best friend. And my mom, probably. I feel like both of them would enjoy it, and I would enjoy watching it with them.
My name is Bebe Wood, and I play Gretchen Wieners in the movie. I was such a big fan of Mean Girls, such a big fan of Mean Girls growing up. I don't even remember when the first time I saw it was. I think it is just kind of like a pillar in everyone's lives. It does feel that way. I'm not sure if that's like true, but it really does feel like everyone kind of has their own relationship with that film, regardless of your age or your gender. Like, you're going to have a relationship with the film because I think it really just honestly encapsulates what being a young person is. The reason that the movie is so relevant still is because it's just so honest. I think the 2004 version perfectly encapsulates the time. I think it perfectly encapsulates society and culture during that time. And I think what was so special to see, and I think integral to making the movie work today, is making it honest to 2024. I knew that Tina Fey was involved. Obviously, she wrote the original movie and the book for the musical, and she obviously wrote this. And so I was really excited by that prospect because one of my first scene partners as a professional actor was Tina in 30 Rock. I started acting professionally when I was 10 or 11, and I got cast in an episode of 30 Rock when I was like 10 years old, and basically like my first scene partner as a professional actor was Tina. And it was amazing. She was like the nicest woman. I remember being this like little 10-year-old that was like, she's incredible. Like, if this is what acting is, if this is like, you know, if this is who actors are, like I want to be around them, I want to learn from them, I want to do this. Gretchen Wieners is sort of like the right hand, you know, figure to Regina George, who is Queen Bee. You know, it feels almost like Gretchen is kind of like her assistant. Like, she knows everything. She knows what's going on, not just with Regina, but with the whole school. I think there's a little bit of everyone in Gretchen, and like a little bit of Gretchen in everyone. I think like she's just so vulnerable, even if she doesn't realize it. I think they're like creative geniuses, to be honest. They have such incredible ideas, and like to see the way their minds just work so quickly. The moment they said, this movie is like if Janis and Damian got to direct their own high school experience, I was like, oh my God, I'm on board. Tina Fey, she's the mother. I mean, that's what we were all saying, right? Like, Reneé says this a lot, but like mother, you know? She was there every single day, which I think is just so admirable because, of course, she doesn't have to be, you know? But she was there every single day, and she was just ready to answer questions or to throw jokes out at us, like, oh, maybe try this, maybe say this, you know? She's so collaborative and just so quick and so smart. I'm in total awe of her. I think audiences are gonna like a lot of things. I think it's hard to choose a specific thing, but it is just such a fresh take on such a beloved, you know, tale. It's always nice to see characters that you know and you love and that you're familiar with kind of be resurrected in a way.
When I saw the Mean Girls musical, I was like, Tina had said to me, she was like, you know, it'd be great if you wanted to. Maybe you could like come in as Mrs. George for a summer on Broadway. And I was like, kidding? That'd be amazing. I have said it ironically myself as a mom. Like, I'm not a regular mom. I'm a cool mom. Tina really, she has a lot of things like that have, really permeated the culture and become a part of our lexicon. But that in particular is everybody knows the mom that doesn't want to be the mom, that wants to still be hanging with the girls in high school. When I watched Mean Girls for the first time, almost 20 years ago, the original movie, I related to it as a person who was much younger, like remembering high school. Her wanting to be a part of social media and speak that language, but it's not hers to speak. TikTok is not for a woman in her 40s. As my child always says, like, Mom, you can keep your Instagram. I'll have TikTok. And it was like, okay. I'm not even on it. Tina Fey is an icon and a trailblazer and a person that I have looked up to my entire career, as long as I can remember. These girls are so talented. I had seen Reneé in Mean Girls on Broadway when she had taken over the part, and had watched this TV show that she's on, just sort of like in preparation for coming to work with her, and was sort of just, I'm floored by her natural ability. She's just incredibly gifted, and it's just natural, it just comes so naturally to her. And also I'm friends with Jenna Fischer forever. I've known Jenna for a million years. And when I first met Angourie, I texted Jenna and I was like, it's bizarre. You guys, she is a little you. The casting is so good. They are all this perfect sort of embodiment of characters that and love, but this is just, it's a whole new imagining of it. And all of these girls are wildly talented.
I am Jaquel Spivey, and I play Damian Hubbard. I was told by my team that Tina Fey wants to talk to you. And I was like, oh, I love a little prank. I love a little joke. I'll go along with it. And I joined a Zoom call, and Tina Fey was sitting right there. And she started telling me about the project and seeing if I had any interest, which I definitely did. Auli'i, my Janis. Well, I think everybody has a Janis. Everybody has a Damian. It's that one person that you can confide in, the one person where you can say the most idiotic thing and they'll go along with it. You know what I mean? And I think it's such a beautiful relationship because on paper, these two probably wouldn't be friends. They're probably the most opposite. He's a social butterfly. She's to herself. He wants to sing and be loud. She just wants to like crochet and draw and be her own little art freak. But it works. We even each other out. I just love working with Angourie because she's just so open, She's so open and she's so honest and just has such a beautiful spirit. And it's so Cady, like the energy of, I just want to be involved and I want to do great and I want us all to have fun. That's Angourie. So for me, it's sometimes difficult to look at Cady and to not see Angourie because I just want to hug them both all the time. I think the thing with Regina is everybody just thinks Regina's mean and that's it. And that's so surface. It's like, there's a reason I'm sure this young lady has become this way. And I think Reneé has done such a beautiful job at finding the layers of, yes, this is a mean girl, but as fierce as she is, she's also a little insecure. And as like dominating as she is, she's also just a little worried about her place in this school and in this world of popularity. And Reneé just holds it down. She comes on the scene and it's like, you want to watch her. And in a way, there are moments where it's like you want to root for her, but you can't. Like you want to root for Reneé, but then when Regina pops up, it's like, ugh, we don't like you. We're not supposed to like you. I think what's amazing about Tina and Jeff as well, I think they're both collaborators. And it's awesome to step into a space where your voice matters and your opinions of a character matters and your point of view. Especially when you're talking to the creator and she's like, I never thought of it that way. Let's try it versus I didn't write it to be that way. It's an honor to be in a space with such an amazing creative individual like Tina Fey, and for her to like your idea and allow you to run with it. I think what they're gonna love about this movie is how different it is from what they thought it was gonna be. I think it's gonna be really cool. That was the thing that got everyone who's cast and just working on this project so excited, is that we're not recreating anything, we're reimagining. And reimagining means we're gonna take the world of this show, we're gonna evolve it, we're gonna switch it around, we're gonna still tell the same story, but we're gonna tell it our way. A lot has changed since 2004. It's a different way of life for a high schooler and a teenager. And I think we showcase all of that in this movie.
Tina Fey wrote me an email, a lovely email, and asked if I would want to join the cast as Ms. Heron. And you know what? When Tina Fey writes you an email, you write back, yes! I mean, what a fun project. I, of course, was a huge fan of the movie when it came out. I've seen it multiple times, and so this is super exciting for me. It's funny, when they offered me the role, I thought, why did they think of me for this? You know, it's been a while since I've been on camera. I wonder, why did I pop in their minds? And then I Googled Angourie, and I was like, oh, that's why. We look identical. She actually looks like a grown-up version of my daughter. I could imagine my daughter growing up to look like her. So yeah, it's very, very similar. The first day that we were shooting together, we ended up talking about soup making and bread making. I mean, we have the same sort of off-camera interests as well. So we got along great from the beginning. And she is just a phenomenal actress. She is so real. She's so emotionally available. She's so ready every take. And it's just been an absolute dream getting to work with her. The whole cast is amazing. Like, the casting has been absolutely perfect on the movie. And, you know, I got to do a film a long time ago with Tim Meadows. And so this is my second film that I get to do with Tim, and he is so amazing. So there's just all of these sort of serendipitous things that came together in the casting of the movie that was just felt right. I think we can all relate to being a teenager. It's a time when you're trying to figure out who you are, and you can be easily influenced by the people around you, and anyone who exudes confidence is both attractive and terrifying. So, you know, Regina is all confidence, and that is very intoxicating. And so I think we all know what it's like to be in that sort of adolescent time of transition. And so it becomes very relatable. I think the biggest difference is the phones and the technology and how all of that is working itself into the story. You know, this idea of you can be embarrassed by a video that's been posted, or you can go viral in both good and bad ways. Like, that wasn't part of the original. We didn't have that. And so it almost ups the stakes even more.
My name is Kyle Hanagami, and I'm the choreographer for Mean Girls musical. I was told that the directors had put me in their original pitch for the movie. I had never met Art and Sam before, but they said that they had been fans of my work for a very long time. And so I met with them and the producers and Tina and Jeff and people at Paramount, and they brought me onto the project. It's Mean Girls. Like, I was so excited to be a part of this one. Mean Girls is definitely a cult classic. Like, it was kind of the first of its kind to speak to a new generation. And so in creating this movie, we're kind of keeping that in mind and making sure that we aren't trying to remake the old one. We are trying to create something that speaks to a whole new generation that can be appreciated by both the new generation and the original fans of Mean Girls. It's been equally creative and choreography, because I feel like when most people think choreographer, all they think are dance moves, and there's so much creative and planning that goes on behind the scenes. Reneé Rapp is a superstar. She is so awesome to work with. She is such a professional. She gives it everything that she has, and she's such a great actress as well. When I was approached about this movie, I was very apprehensive, because I was like, it's Mean Girls. Like, how do you touch Mean Girls? It's iconic. Like, and after I read the script, I was sold, because what really hit me was like, I'm such a fan of the original that it felt like I was getting to watch an alternate universe's like version of it, where it's like the jokes are different and there's now music and it's played by different people who have different delivery. And so if you go in trying to compare this to the original, it's kind of apples and oranges. Like, this is its own thing, and it's its own comedy, and it's its own tone and character plots and story developments and all of these things that just are different.
Social media is a big part of it, and as it is a big part of high school. So, and I think Tina did a really good job on that. And the music gives it a whole other edge too. But the characters remain what they were. You know, Regina's Regina, and Cady's Cady, and the rest kind of fall in, but they're interpreted differently. So because it's another time. The look of the kids is completely different, and the generational thing was completely different, and obviously way more diverse. And it had to look like today, and I think the directors did a great job on that, because it does. Well, I've known her a long time, and we've, obviously we did this movie together, and I think done a couple of other movies together. So we were together, I don't know how many years it is now, but it's definitely over 20. So, and when she arrived, she was a girl. And, but a girl who was, bright and smart and really funny and strong, all the things that I think are now evident to everyone. Their background is mostly in music videos, and I think which you can comfortably see on your phone. So when you're jumping to a different scale of a movie, you sort of see close-ups are different. They're absolutely necessary in a music video, but they have a whole other meaning in a movie. And watching them adapt to that and figure that out was great, but they knew what they wanted to do. Jeff and Tina knew very much what they wanted to do as well, and I think Reneé had done the show on Broadway, so she already knew it, and I think more and more it just turned, it fell into an ensemble of people who sort of both had grown up with the movie, had how they wanted to do it, and because they were the appropriate age. And so there was no attempt to try and go back to the way it looked or what it did, and I think Art and Sam played a big part in that. Tim was at SNL, I think, for 25 years, and needless to say, I'm a huge fan. Yeah, and I think he and Tina have a real nice chemistry, which they had in the original, but now it has another kind of level to it. The dance is designed for the movie, and it's designed for TikTok, so that you sort of feel that's probably how it'll be consumed, and also that's how it will spread. So I think it feels of the moment, because dance exists on TikTok, it's copied in life. I think they'll love the cast. I think they'll like the fact that it's familiar but different. I think the singing takes it to another level, and since Reneé is also famous as a singer, it takes it, you're happy to see the two merge, and she's so talented.
I'm a massive fan of the original. Yeah, I mean, I grew up knowing every word. It was huge in high school when it came out. So my friends and I would just be repeating every single phrase from it, like just in its own language, You can just speak Mean Girls. So I was unbelievably thrilled when this opportunity came around. These are high school girls, they're experiencing these big emotions oftentimes for the very first time. So to be able to explore that, dive deeper, and explore that cinematically is a really cool thing. I mean, the original has such a good message of women should support other women. We shouldn't bully each other, we shouldn't tear each other down. And I mean, that message is great 20 years ago, it's great 100 years ago, it's great 100 years from now. You know, it's a message that's always important to talk about. So I feel like if we can create a version now that connects to today's audience and kind of allow them to have a good time, you know, because it's about having a good time, and having that message be kind of like the medicine, so it's like the spoon of sugar that helps the medicine go down. It feels like we're doing what we're supposed to do.
And I think that what we've done 20 years later is kind of like, I think it is a new twist. The first thing that we did was just meet with Tina in person, and you know, to collaborate with Tina is a lesson in how someone should collaborate. She takes the best of everybody's ideas with her own and makes something new. The idea could come from anywhere. It doesn't matter who. Mm-hmm. It's like just the best idea wins. And that's infectious, you know, and it really helps like the project.
The fact that she's able to be so open and warm and such a great collaborator and open to collaboration when this has been her baby for, you know, over 20 years. Yeah. You know, it was really astounding, and it was really humbling to be able to work with somebody like that. It was really beautiful just to see the cast gel so well together. I mean,
this cast is amazing.
They became friends, you know? They became true friends, and it was so cool just to see them hanging out. Like, yeah. I kind of there were moments where I would kind of step back out of I'd be like feeling like I was in high school, just hanging out at the table with them, and it was just like
they were laughing all the time.
Yeah, they were just laughing and joking around, and it was just so natural. For the plastics, we have Reneé Rapp as Regina. She is, first of all, a phenomenal, fierce, phenomenal talent. I mean, incredible singer. She played Regina on Broadway. So she's been living with this character for so long. I think in our first conversations with her, we were really talking about almost an unlearning of the Broadway version and what she would bring to screen, because I mean there's so much more subtlety and groundedness. So I think she was really excited to bring her truest Regina to screen.
It's a good time.
It is a good time. I mean, it is a really good time. It's like the perfect time, you know, to go out with your friends, bring your mom, you know. It feels like a really nice mother-daughter movie. It feels like a good friend group movie, a good best friend movie to go see, you know. Even if you drag your boyfriend, I'm sure he'll enjoy it. We talk about this like immersive world with Cady, but I think in order to fully experience it, like there's no better way than seeing it on the big screen. You know, you feel fully enveloped in the story. You're able to travel through with her. You're able to feel how she feels. And if you're able to just sit with it and just kind of lose yourself in this story, then you'll get the most out of it.
In 2004, we made the original movie, and then sometime around 2017, 18, we made the musical, the Broadway version of the musical of Mean Girls, and then the national tour has been out on the road, and now we are working on the Mean Girls movie. Now we're here making the film version. And the idea of taking the Broadway show to the film version was exciting to me because it felt like we could kind of have the best of both worlds. We could have this great music while still being able to kind of live with our characters in a close-up, to be able to have new jokes and new moments that are surprising to people. I think that over the years I've realized that these characters and this story have had a much longer shelf life than anyone could have anticipated, and so to get to do something new with them, I think people will be surprised. The main thing that was important to me this time in doing it for the screen was to find ways for it to be new and surprising to people. And I think the casting lends to that tremendously. I think these actors are incredibly perfect in their roles and very kind of modern take on these parts. Bringing together cast of actors is one of my favorite parts of the process, whether it's in film, television, stage. I love getting a chance to be a part of it, and I'm so thrilled about this cast that have come together. Angourie Rice plays Cady. Angourie is a very, very smart talented Australian actress that people will know from many things. She had that kind of deep intelligence that Cady needs to have. Cady needs to be very smart, and Angourie really just delivers that and has great timing and is just kind of radiant on screen. So that's our Cady. Bebe Wood is Gretchen, and Bebe, her tape just left off the screen when she auditioned for the movie. It just was immediate to me and to Lorne Michaels. We were like, well, there's Gretchen. That's our Gretchen. Gretchen also has to be very intelligent, but have this kind of core of fragility that still has to be comic, and Bebe just understood that from jump. Avantika plays Karen, and similarly, we were like, there's Karen. Just the moment we saw her tape, she is stunningly beautiful. She has this kind of innocent, kind core that Karen kind of needs to have, and she has that warmth. Jaquel Spivey is playing Damian. I had seen Jaquel in Strange Loop on Broadway and immediately thought, like, this guy's incredible. He's carrying this whole show. It will be a surprise to no one that he's incredibly talented and hilarious, and also has that kind of the warmth underneath Damian that you hope for him to have. Damian really does care about his friend Janis. He cares about his friend Cady, and so yeah, Jaquel's amazing. Auli'i Cravalho is playing Janis, and she is awesome. She is also one of the most, I don't know if you say telegenic, if it's for film, she's cinegenic, but she is one of the most beautiful actors on screen. Her face is just, you could just watch dailies of her for hours. And she brings the kind of fierceness that Janis needs to have, the underpinning of resentment of what's been done to her in the past, and you fully believe that she is an artist because Auli'i is an artist, in her way, yeah, she's killing it as Janis. The Queen Bee, Regina George, is a person that I've had the pleasure of working with in this role before, which is Reneé Rapp, and Reneé did the show on Broadway. I met Reneé when she was 19, I think, and we had seen her audition for the Broadway show, and she wasn't sure if she wanted to do Broadway, and Lorne Michaels and I basically invited Reneé to his office, and we're like, you need to do this. You would be wasting your talent if you don't do a run at this before you launch your music career. And thank goodness she said she would like to, so she did an amazing run on Broadway as Regina George, and then has now launched her incredible music career, which is only going to continue to explode, I believe. She's already a fan favorite. People love her. They love her voice. They love her presence. They love her core self, which her TikTok presence, which I think is good because, Regina has to be a three-dimensional villain. And so you don't want it to be a two-dimensional person that you hate. And you kind of watch Reneé come into these scenes and be scary, but she's also kind of enthralling, and you get the thing of like, I do want her to like me. Does she like me? I am reprising my role as Ms. Norbury because we thought, well, teachers work for a long time, so it might make sense if Tim and I did it. And so I called Tim and I was like, will you do it? I'll do it if you do it. But it's been really nice to get to work with Tim again. Art and Sam really talked about the need for the movie to be surprising. And in what ways could it be unexpected, could just literally to surprise the audience who have seen the original movie so many times, and they have some incredible ideas of how to do that and how to shoot it that way. They come from music video, so for the ways for the songs to feel dynamic and exciting, it's been great to see them in their element. When we came time to find Angourie's mom, in this case, I thought, who are the only living actors that my own children care about? And that is anyone affiliated with The Office. I did think, like, if I could get Jenna Fischer to play Angourie's mom, my children will finally respect me. And thankfully, Jenna wanted to do it. And the other thing that's sort of crazy is I do think that Angourie and Jenna really look related. They really could be related. And again, to take on Anna Gaster's part like that, you need someone who has proper comic timing, and also that you have to believe they're intelligent the way Anna is. You have to believe that they are a scientist in the field, and I think Jenna pulls that off as well. My friend, Busy Phillips, had the balls of steel that it required to say, yes, I will play Mrs. George. I will follow in Amy Poehler's footsteps, and I have Amy's blessing. I was about to do this. We should do that. But I did get Amy to bless the choice. And she was like, I think that's a great choice. And again, talk about a familial resemblance. I really feel like Busy and Reneé Rapp could be related. The other person that I think is really defining the look of this movie is Kyle Hanagami, our choreographer, who's a genius and has had such an incredible sense of using dance to tell the story, of finding moments of humor within the numbers, of finding moments that people will want to try this on TikTok, or they will think this is like something cool they haven't seen before. He's been just invaluable. I think people are going to love this cast, and I hope that people will find moments where they're like, oh, I didn't expect that.
Thanks for watching. Make sure to like and comment on the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell to be notified when new videos are released.